It was a great night of fights, and some of the fights didn't go the way that I thought they were, and some went the other way. So at the end of the night, this is MMA. It's fast, it's explosive, it's raw, and I think you got a real good sample of why the sport's so exciting.
Scott,
hmm
first question really, we had Jack in here earlier, he made quite a statement tonight. We haven't seen him as devastating as that probably film match for about 4 years. Did he make enough of a statement to potentially put himself in the frame, in the mix, to fight the winner of the World Grand Prix?
I tell you what, he definitely made a statement, and I think that that's attributed to his training with Tiki. I think Tiki changed his style, and Czech was such a great kickboxer, back in the day, and he was such a dynamic striker. And then, he's worked on his ground game a lot and wrestling a lot, and some of the performances have been okay, not exciting, but he showed that he's back, to his old self tonight. That was a great counterpunch, and it was just a nice technique. And like I said, I think Tiki's doing a great job over there. Gareth, these are the type of things that when I think about the future, I think about, like, let's see how the tournament unfolds. Let's see how the other signings that we get unfold. Let's see how, we all put this together. And at the end of the day, I'll sit down with, Rich and everybody at the office there, and we'll shuffle the deck, and we'll come out with the best matchups possible. But, one thing, we will have a lot of fights, for these heavyweights, because, some of them are already eliminated. But, there's some good talent out there that, that we can fight in. At the end of the day, there's only going to be one winner. There's going to be one champion, at the end. So, we're going to have a good gauntlet of athletes that are going to be able to fight.
Earlier today, Aaron and then later Fitch kind of were mentioning the idea of tournaments. I mean, like the Heavyweight tournament seems like it's going pretty well. Then you have depth in a lot of these divisions, welterweight and featherweight both. I mean, you could get 8 people and you could really, especially featherweight, you could really have a hell of a tournament if that's what you want. But I mean, are these things that are kind of like in your head?
Yeah, I mean, I want to get through the heavyweight tournament first, but I think it's a great format for us, and I believe that there is a place for tournaments in MMA, and I think this Grand Prix tournament proves that it's something that's worth doing, and for us it's great because it crowns our new heavyweight champion. But don't be surprised if you see another tournament or so next year.
Scott, there's a lot said about Paul Daly and him being at the end of his contract. He was in a tough style matchup. Obviously, took a loss. Do you see yourself speaking with Paul Daly moving forward?
Absolutely. My feelings have not changed. That is one of the most dynamic fighters that I've been associated with. He had a tough matchup, with Fitch. And Fitch is a world-class athlete, champions, before in different leagues, and how his experience really showed tonight. And Paul had a tough time getting up. But Paul was almost at the point where he almost knocked him out, at the end of the, I think it's the first round, right? So, but getting back to Paul, I love that guy. I think will always have a seat here. He's welcome to be here at Bellator. I think we actually have some more fights left than he thinks he might have. But I will sit down and talk to him when I get to London, and we'll sort it out. But I hope he's here for a long time. Win or lose, Paul Daly always brings it, man. I've never been disappointed.
Is there any reaction to his talking, at the end of the fight, anything like that?
I mean, from my side, or from? I mean,
I don't know what he said, but I know he must have said something, because that's what a lot of people were talking about.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, at the end of the day, Dave, you have to think about this. It's an emotional time for the fighter. He just lost, right? And he's thinking about his future. So sometimes things come out, but let him calm down for a couple of days, and by the time we get to London, we'll have an intelligent conversation with between us. So I'm not worried. I mean, it's I'm sure. I think I kind of know what he said, but it's an emotional time for him right now.
Scott, speaking of London, we got Michael Page over there. These guys seem like a natural matchup, as we talked about it before. So, what do you think about that, or what you going to try to make it happen?
Absolutely, that's a fight that I think should happen, and I think it should happen in London. Makes the most sense. It's not going to happen, obviously, for the next fight, but sometime before the end of the year, we'd love to have those guys, get it on there in the UK.
Since there's an international presence already, places like Italy, England, and so on. I believe it was last year you said that you guys really were going to go to Brazil, for example. Can you talk about some of these international plans?
Yeah, I mean, Brazil is it's a little bit tricky in the sense that you have to create a whole infrastructure, and we're starting to do that. But it's something that is not going to happen in the next couple of months. But the international plans that we've unfolded here, I think, started last year or maybe even the year before. It's Viacom is an international company, and they gave us a mandate to expand internationally. And we're doing it, and we'll have some really exciting announcements. I think at the end of the night in London about where we're going to go and some, where we'll expand and open corporate offices and the next move for Bellator corporately as far as the expansion of the business. We'll announce that at the post-fight press conference in London. So we have some exciting news to announce.
Sir, there seems to be a lot of build-up to about 50 Cent and 50 Cent's presence here at the event tonight. Of course, he was here. I was expecting an announcement of some sort. Did I miss it, or is there something in the works?
Yeah, he's got a new album dropping in about 6 weeks. So, no. Listen, you know what? I'll go back to the first time we met. It's he wanted to talk about MMA, and there's some pictures taken. People speculate. I don't know where he said he's going to fight a 3-fight deal. I don't even think he said it. I think somebody else started that rumor. He's going to fight a 3-fight deal, then he's going to fight Rampage, and it's like, look, he loves MMA, and when a big star like that loves MMA and wants to be involved, he loves the fighters, he loves the management side of it. I think he is an owner of a lot of brands that he could bring to the table for us. I think again, this is a paramount opportunity. Maybe they could put him in some movies and some TV shows. I mean, Viacom is not just, or Bellator is owned by Viacom, so they do a lot of other things other than the fight business. So it just makes a lot of sense. And, he wanted to come. He wanted to come here, and he wanted to check it out. So, this is his first time to a Bellator fight. But on the way out, he said, you know what, I'll see you in London. I'm going to be there because I love this. This is fantastic. So, it's a friend of the family, and we'll see where it goes.
And to your point, sir, I wasn't expecting a fight announcement.
Oh.
Some sort of a partnership.
Oh.
Sometime. Which you kind of alluded to there a bit.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's nothing, there's no business relationship, between 50 and us. He just, he came as a fan, and but when he wants to bring some muscle to a promotion, like he helped us with this, I mean, he did a great job, and we should all thank him. It's good for MMA.
Scott, can you just confirm again that Curtis Jackson III's 50 Cent, if I've said it correctly,
Yeah.
is going to come to London because he's so into MMA, thanks to coming to the next.
Yeah, I got a text when he left. He said, "I'll see you in London." So I'm assuming he's going to come to the fight. I mean, things happen. He's a very busy man. He has a lot going on. I mean, he's not just in the music business, but he's in the television business, the movie business. I mean, he's actually touring in London at the O2, Birmingham, and Manchester in September. So he's got a tour going on. I mean, the guy's busy. I mean, he's a big star. So, I'll take it for what it is. If we can have him in London, we would love to have him, and we'll have a good time watching the fight, sir. And if not, we'll do it another time.
Scott, another impressive performance for your prize prospect, Aaron Pico. Can you just sort of talk about tonight and how excited you are about his future moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, when I think about the potential of that kid, it's really unbelievable. It's scary, actually, how good he's gotten in such a short amount of time. And but that's the reason why we signed him. Listen, Bob Cook came to me when he was 17 years old, and he said to me, "You got to sign this kid." And we tried to sign him, actually, and the lawyers said, "You can't do it. This doesn't mean you got to wait till he turns 18." So when he turned 18, we signed him to a contract, and it's been a building of what you're seeing today. But think about this: he only has 3 or 4 fights, but he looks like a kid out there that has a composure, right, and the relaxation of a fighter that has like 15, 20 fights. He does not look like a kid that has 3 fights, and that's because of all the wrestling matches that he's had, all the training he's doing now, all the Golden Gloves boxing he did prior in the past, and that's the reason why we brought him in, and we invested in him, and waited until he finished his Olympic run, and that was the deal. When you finish your Olympic run, if you win, great. If you're out, then that's when you come on board, and I'm excited about Aaron Pico. I think that he's going to go a long way.
Can you sort of elaborate a little bit more about how he carries himself mentally? He comes in here and he's got a suit on. We saw him earlier this week. He carries himself very professionally, like he is sort of a veteran, a
So
Mhm.
what do you think that says about him and his maturity? And he talked very meticulously about his plan. He wants to do boxing and stuff like that. So what can you say about him from that standpoint?
Yeah, I mean, he handles himself very well. A person way beyond his age or experience, in my opinion. And then when you talk to him, I was almost, to me, he seems a little shy, but the bell rings and the cameras are on, and he brings it, man. He's an exciting fighter, exciting prospect, and he fought a kid tonight with a lot of fights, and we're going to keep putting him there and testing him, and then eventually he'll go and fight the big guys, and he's chomping at the bit now, but I think he needs a couple more fights, and then he'll go fight the top guys.
Isn't that the
Scott,
thing
that's
about
right.
him, though? You've got him in your promotional package, your promotional video. There's two British, or there's two European fighters on there, and the rest are American, of course, or North American. Just
Are you counting, Garrett?
I was at the time as it was playing out. Daly wasn't on there, which I thought was interesting. But he's not just dynamic and mature and this kind of, he's lived like a Spartan all his life, but I talked to him about it when he came out here. It's like he's prepared to take risks, and the fans love that as well. And it's more the style of him than anything that seems to excite. And
Yeah.
Is he probably the most exciting prospect there is?
I think he's definitely. I'm excited about Aaron. I'm also excited about, let's say, James Gallagher, right, and AJ McKee, and at some point, those three guys will fight each other probably.
And is that probably a year away, all of that?
Yeah, I think let these kids keep getting their reps in and keep getting their footing, because sometimes things don't work out and you never know. And so my job is to continue to test them, and then eventually we'll get to the big fights, or he'll have to fight everybody.
Scott, I'm sorry, going back to 2013, I believe, was the last time your prior heavyweight champion Minikoff defended his belt against Congo, I believe. And then about 3 years later, in 2016, I think he was officially stripped. Now, another 2 years elapsed before we were even close to having another champion. Can you talk about why there was such a long gap for that belt?
Yeah, when I think about Minikoff, we still have a contract with him, and he told me he was going to retire, and then he didn't want to retire, and then he came back, and we tried to work something out, didn't work out, but in the meantime we kept signing different guys. Roy Nelson, we had, when I first started, we only had a couple heavyweights here. Now it's probably one of our funnest divisions to watch, so it's a much different division 3 years ago than it is today. And I think that's why you're seeing what you're seeing. And listen, Minikoff, when he's ready to come back, he's welcome to come back, and we'd love to have him fight. But he's got to let us know that he wants to come back, and we just haven't heard that.
All right, guys, one or two more questions.
What did you think of Ryan Bader tonight, and how shocked were you that the fight ended the way it did?
I tell you, I thought there was going to be a little more wrestling, to be honest with you, right? And I was getting ready for maybe a 3-round fight, but you're talking about two big guys, two strong guys in the cage, and when you have that kind of, power, one punch, one kick, one wrong move, you're getting taken down or you're getting knocked out, and that's just how it is in MMA. It's just the nature of this business. So was I shocked? I was shocked about, the first round, 14 seconds, but Ryan Bader knocking out King Mo with a punch, that doesn't surprise me. It could have went either way, and he got there first.
And the last thing for me, now that the semifinals are set, you just sort of assess the bracket now, the matchups that you have on each side.
Do you have any kind of a time frame as far as what's next?
Yeah, now we do, and we'll have something to announce next week. But you could probably look at September as a good time for the semifinals. But listen, I'm excited about Fedor fighting Chael Sonnen. I think that's going to be a really fun fight, and I think that's a fight that is going to be interesting to see strategically how Chael and Fedor try to battle each other, and then Mitrione Bader. I'm excited about that fight too. I think we got two amazing semifinal fights, and I'm looking forward to hosting them in September.
What's
Scott,
Steve
when you talk
Skills?
Ask me on Monday. Shoot me an email, Gareth.
When you talk about Aaron Pico, I got to say, we also noticed you were the one who introduced us to Daniel Cormier, who's in the crowd tonight, Ronda Rousey. What is the secret to finding these next big things?
Well, you know what? It's really, I'll be honest with you. It was Bob Cook that came to me and said, "Hey, you need to sign this kid." And it was here in San Jose. It was at Willow Street. We were on Willow Street around Lincoln Avenue, and Bob Cook says to me, "Coker, you got to sign this heavyweight. He has no fights, right?" And in comes Daniel Cormier, and I go, "He doesn't really look like a fighter. Can he fight?" He goes, "I don't think. I don't know." Bob said to me, "I think he could fight. I think that he's a great wrestler, and I think he's got a lot of potential. You should sign him." And so we signed him, but then he just blew up, and look what happened. Luke Rockhold, same thing. Tyron Woodley, same thing. It's like there's a couple people that really have my ear, and they have delivered over and over and over. Javier Mendez is another one. He's been a great sounding board, but Bob is the one that brought us some of the best talent in the world, and he's the one that came to me and said, "Hey, Aaron Pico, you need to sign this kid. He's 17 years old." But we're going to take over managing him and or start his management with MMA, and he's not going to wrestle collegiately. He's going to go right to the Olympics, and he's going to be the next guy. And sure enough, I think it's just another amazing story that Bob has been so good about picking great talent.
What's your thoughts on? I mean, Aaron brought this up as far as like doing MMA and doing boxing. I think he kind of gave the impression that he wants to win a championship in MMA, then he wants to try to win a championship in boxing. I mean, what's your thought as far as guys doing both sports at the same time?
Well, I think it is smart for him to find his way and fight take this as far as he can. If he becomes the world champion, great, and then he can defend it. But if he wants to, we knew he wanted to go in boxing, and we're fine with that. To me, it's like, hey, if he wants to be the greatest, martial arts or combat sports fighter in the planet, by all means, go ahead and go for it. Thank you.